literature shows emerging social institutions, as literature reflects materialism and class structures, and is a product of the ideological and economic determinants specific to an era. The goal of Marxist literature is to reveal the fundamentals of society, as social structure is built upon the oppression of workers.
In order to identify the Marxist theory in literature, look for disparities between the classes, the author's own perspective, how social systems are formed and how they operate, and how characters' lives are influenced by the ideologies of class. And when looking at the class of characters, ask, do they have conflicting interests, and how does the character's class affect their actions, beliefs, hopes, and fears?
An important Marxist term is currency. Currency is the means of money, and it is what separates the two classes. These two classes are the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. The bourgeoisie class is the capitalistic class who owns most of society's wealth and means of production. The proletariat class is the working class, whose workers do not possess capital or property, and they must sell their labor to survive.
Another important term is hegemony. Hegemony is the leadership, power, or dominance over one social group above another. And this power or dominance is what makes the status quo seem unchangeable and unchallengeable. Other important terms are ideologies, which are systems of beliefs that underlie our actions and motives. Additionally, commodification is the transforming of people, objects, goods, or services intended for exchange that provide economic value.
To clearly see The Great Gatsby through a Marxist lens, we must first distinguish basic elements and definitions of Marxism within the novel itself.
The currency in Gatsby is wealth, and more specifically inherited wealth, referred to as old money throughout the novel. Practically every character in the novel is chasing wealth. Even our narrator Nick, who is seemingly detached from the other characters, came to the East to try his hands in bonds and finances in order to attain his own wealth.
The ideology that drives this ability for the wealthy to accrue wealth is capitalism. The characters in the book believe that through the free market that capitalism provides, they will obtain enormous amounts of wealth and in return, happiness. This belief was pervasive in the 1920s, and it was the belief known as the American Dream. The American Dream was originally a belief of equal opportunities and success for hardworking individuals. However, in the 1920s, the dream became strictly measured in terms of wealth. This meant chasing wealth until one's wealth led to fulfillment and happiness.
As displayed as a major theme in The Great Gatsby that we will further discuss later, wealth can never completely fulfill oneself. Even if one can obtain enough wealth to become part of the new money society, one can never change their past and join the desirable old money society. Gatsby desperately tries to change this by creating a new past for himself. As a 17-year-old boy, he just changes his name to J. Gatsby and erases his real past. Nick describes his transformation by saying, "The truth was that J. Gatsby of West Egg, Long Island, sprang from his Platonic conception of himself. He was a son of God, a phrase which, if means anything, means just that, and he must be about his Father's business, the service of a vast, vulgar, and meretricious beauty. So he invented just the sort of J. Gatsby that a 17-year-old boy would be likely to invent, and to this conception he was faithful to the end." This quote highlights the importance of a past to Gatsby, a past with a wealthy father and wealthy ancestors. This is part of the reason why no one at his parties knows anything about Gatsby's past, and rumors circulate regarding things he may or may not have done in his past. Gatsby has covered up his real past so completely that it is also hard to determine what Gatsby tells Nick is true and what he tells him is not true. Gatsby has made up his past to appear to be part of the old money society.
A habit of Gatsby's is to call everyone old sport, insulting that he is superior to those he is addressing because of his background. Gatsby does this in order to make a distinction between himself and others, incessantly striving to be part of the highest social class. Fitzgerald's writing style and inclusions of detail like this recognize and validate the allure and appreciation of social class and social distinctions present in The Great Gatsby. Nick's condescending narrative voice, contradicts this recognition as he criticizes the highest strata of classes, yet acknowledges them with authoritative maxims, often cited as advice from his father, proving that his acceptance is rooted in his own personal wealth.
The clear separation between classes and societies is due to the dominance one has over the other. This is known as hegemony, which also gives those with old money superiority over those of new money, who also have superiority over those in the proletariat or working class. The old and new money societies are part of the bourgeoisie, who are the ruling class not because of the size of their class, but because they hold the currency, which gives them power.
In The Great Gatsby, the elaborate East Egg embodies the old money society. A citizen of the East Egg, Tom Buchanan is a member of the old money class because of his inherited wealth. Tom is married to Daisy, but is also having an affair with Myrtle Wilson, which shows that even the people who participate in disgraceful activities can still be considered among the highest social class. It is also notable that Tom does no real work, and his glory days ended when his football career did. He does not deserve his wealth, but was born into it. This situation is clearly parallel to the way Tom believes himself superior to others. At dinner with Daisy, Nick, and Jordan, Tom claims we're Nordics, and we've produced all the things that go to make civilization. He also claims it's up to us, who are the dominant race, to watch out or these other races will have control of things. Tom has never produced anything himself, only his distant ancestors have produced valuable things. This is like how Tom has never made any of the money himself, but he has only inherited it.
The new money class is most largely represented by Jay Gatsby. Jay Gatsby was originally Jimmy Gatz, the son of farmers in North Dakota. Jimmy had no money, but was determined to pull himself up to success. Jimmy believed in the American dream, the old interpretation of the dream that determination and hard work would cause one to escalate above the middle class to success and thus to happiness. We can see his determination and devotion to the dream through his old schedule his father provides at the end of the novel. Jimmy was right in some aspects. His determination led him to wealth, but Jay Gatsby never obtained happiness through the dream. He also could never obtain old money status despite desperate attempts, and he remained part of the new money society his entire life. Gatsby is also recognizable for being part of the new money society because he lives on West Egg, which is incredibly wealthy but still not as desirable as the East Egg. There's also something sketchy about the way Gatsby has acquired his wealth. He is revealed to have been involved in business deals with Meyer Wolfsheim, the man who fixed the World Series in order to obtain a fortune. This shady situation proves that not all those who are members of the new money society deserve their fortune. This mysterious past indelibly marks Gatsby with the rumors of how he acquired his wealth. And true or not, these rumors prove the demoralizing power of capitalism and money itself.
George Wilson is a character who represents the proletariat in Gatsby well. He works hard with his hands repairing cars, but is still poor and lives in the very undesirable Valley of Ashes. This Valley of Ashes is just outside of West Egg and represents the way the proletariat is forced to live because of the extravagance and wastefulness of the bourgeoisie. George also is one of the only few characters in the book who is not involved in immoral activities, such as cheating or illegal gambling, and despite his good conduct and hard work, he is not considered successful and fails to gain any wealth or power whatsoever. George is married to Myrtle, who is in an affair with Tom, and when Myrtle dies, George becomes severely afflicted. We are not for sure whether George is so torn apart from discovering that Myrtle was cheating or because he feels guilty for Myrtle's death, but George is clearly suffering. Because he is a member of the proletariat, he does not have the means or the money to escape from this suffering. He cannot afford to start a new life or to find happiness through wealth. This situation, in addition to George's status as part of the proletariat, pushes George to murder and eventually suicide. An important aspect in understanding Gatsby's motivation to achieve the typical American dream of making money is the commodification of Daisy. Gatsby makes his money for Daisy in order to become part of her social class. None of his money matters unless Daisy appreciates it. This can be seen in all of Gatsby's elaborate parties he threw, just hoping Daisy would come one day. Gatsby refuses to revel in his own wealth, as it is not for him. Gatsby finally decides to enjoy swimming at the end of the novel. And at this point, he also thinks of all his hard work, how all his hard work has paid off, and he thinks he finally possesses the ultimate commodity, which is Daisy. The American dream again fails. Daisy never calls, and Gatsby is killed without making his new money or old. Great Gatsby, as the novel, exposes the failure of the American dream and the inability to truly move up social classes. Additionally, it shows that the stereotypical American dream fails to offer equal opportunity, but rather is about achieving wealth for selfish purposes.
The television show Downton Abbey is an early 20th century period piece centered on the social class divisions between the affluent Crawley family, owners of a great British manor home, and their servants. The Crawley family is made up of Lord and Lady Grantham and their daughters Sybil, Mary, and Edith, who all reside in the extravagant upstairs of the house and represent the bourgeoisie. The many servants who work at Downton consist of butlers, footmen, cooks, kitchen maids, lady maids, and more, who reside in the more meager downstairs portion of the house and represent the proletariat. There is a very clear distinction in the lifestyles between the two groups, with the Crawleys living a life of luxury with concerns only coming from how they are viewed in society and by their contemporaries, and the servants living a lowly life focused on pleasing their superiors and giving proper respect to them. The distinctions in these classes are perfectly highlighted in the relationship between Lady Sybil, the youngest daughter, and Tom Ransom, the family chauffeur, who is considered to be a member of the servant class.
Tom and Sybil first begin socializing outside of their servant-master relationship when Sybil serves as a nurse in World War I. Their secret romance continues until Tom asks Sybil to elope with him and move to Ireland, and she agrees. After doing this, her sisters discover that she has run away and beg her to return home and at least attempt to reason with her family about the scandalous marriage that she is now a part of. She agrees, but is met with anger and disapproval upon her announcement back at Downton.
The currency of Downton is certainly money, but a much more important emphasis is placed on social roles, orders, and the chain of command. When Sybil announces her intent to marriage for Tom, she is met with contempt from her family solely because he is a member of the servant class, and their marriage will blur the lines of social order, which is vitally important to their lives.
This is all to the severe hegemony at the Downton household. The Crawley family, who represent the bourgeoisie, place a great importance on the superiority over the servants, who obviously represent the proletariat. While the family is courteous towards their servants, they know that their place in society is above them and expect those hierarchies to be respected. The family feels that it is below Sybil to marry Tom because of this hierarchy.
The ideology of the Crawley family that drives this thought is that of the importance of their reputation around Britain. The main source of the family's worries come from scandal being brought upon their house. One of their daughters marrying the chauffeur is sure to damage their societal standing among their peers and tarnish their reputation, which is why they do not condone the relationship and marriage of Lady Sybil and Tom Ransom.
Upon first hearing the news of Sybil and Tom's intent to marry, Lord Grantham vows to cut them off from any financial assistance. Sybil's ideologies clearly clash with those of her family. She does not care about the judgment of others or about the money and extravagance that she has known until this point. Because of this difference in ideologies, Sybil refuses time and time again to give in and leave Tom. And so her family and Lord Grantham in particular finally realize that there is no hope in continuing to appeal to this old-fashioned belief that marriage depends only on class. Lord Grantham eventually decides to bless the marriage and give Sybil and Tom financial assistance. This exemplifies the first time that love surpasses social class in Downton Abbey, and that Sybil is willing to give up everything she has ever known in order to be with her love, Tom.
While living in Ireland, Tom and Sybil write to the family announcing Sybil's pregnancy. While Lady Grantham is thrilled with the news, Lord Grantham again has his misgivings about the child not being raised within their social class. Lady Grantham eventually convinces him that it is their grandchild no matter what, and that they must have a place in its life and love it anyways. This is the second time we see love surpassing social class within the story arc, and it shows that this theme not only relates to romantic love, but also familial love.
The first time Tom can truly be seen as accepted as equal to the other members of the Crawley family is when Tom and Sybil return to the Downton household for Mary's marriage. Tom is allowed to sit at the dinner table with the rest of the family, but both Tom and the other family members feel uncomfortable with this change, as until this point there have been strict barriers and social lines that were never crossed. Tom feels that he is not welcome and goes down to the servants' hall after dinner. Yet the servants too refuse to treat Tom the same way when he returns as a member of the bourgeoisie, as they too are uncomfortable with his new status. This again shows the demoralizing and denigrating power of money and capitalism, despite the fact that Tom too is uncomfortable with his new status and wealth. So this shows that even when one is accepted into a new class, he or she still bears the marks of his or her beginnings like a stigma that cannot be removed. And because even though Tom is finally treated as an equal to the rest of the members of the Downton household, there is still a disconnect and feeling that he does not belong.
After a few days into their visit, the Crawley family begins to get more comfortable with Tom, and they start calling him Tom rather than Branson, his last name, which is a title that infers inferiority. He is also told to call the family members by their less formal titles as a way to remove the barriers between their class and his. One thing Tom refuses to do is dress in the proper white tie for dinner because he feels it to be a quote-unquote symbol of oppression. The Dowager Countess, who is the old-fashioned mother of Lord Grantham, eventually forces him into one, and he continues to wear it during his time there. This shows that it will take compromises on both sides to truly remove the barriers created by differences in class and ideologies, but that once again, love and family have the capability to surpass social class.
Some common themes between both The Great Gatsby and Downton Abbey are the demoralizing power of money. The archetypal wealthy person is often portrayed as a villain, someone whose money and social status leads them to make poor choices that denigrate their character. Money is also often associated with luxurious items that lead to greed and corruption. For example, literature over the times has portrayed characters that indulge in amenities as often less thoughtful, ultimately leading to their involvement in immoral activities. Oftentimes, this attitude in literature towards wealth is projected into reality, inclining many prejudiced thoughts towards those who are part of the currency-fueled capitalistic system. The warnings about the power of money illustrated in literature often reveal corruption that leads to change through revolution. While taking this attitude towards wealth to a prejudiced point is obviously wrong, Marxist theory and the transformative power of literature allow us to keep ourselves from becoming like these archetypal wealthy characters to prevent money's demoralizing powers from succeeding. The era The Great Gatsby takes place in is characterized by currency, greed, and immorality. The next decade of history experiences the Great Depression, showcasing one of the lowest economic points in American history. Fitzgerald reveals the demoralizing power of money and capitalism in the 1920s, which can be cited as a possible cause of this Great Depression.
Another theme seen in both works is love surpassing social class. This is seen in Downton Abbey and Tom and Sybil's marriage. The storyline of Tom and Sybil's marriage represents the strict expectations of early 20th century while also appealing to the more subtle social barriers in today's world. Tom and Sybil's relationship showcases the need to view those in relationships as equals. Literature is transformed with the ideas of the age, and in today's society, diversity yet equality is seen more often amongst relationships. This ideology is important to include in your own life in romantic, filial, and platonic relationships, as Marxist theory reminds us that social and class barriers are unimportant and impermanent. Daisy and Gatsby's initial connection before Gatsby has attained his wealth shows that the relationship was initially based on love rather than currency and social ranking. The theme of love surpassing social class in Great Gatsby transforms the societal expectations, allowing love to be seen as a strong base for relationships. By applying a Marxist critical lens in order to analyze the social structure of the Great Gatsby and Downton Abbey, we are able to acknowledge the demoralizing power of money and the surpassing of social class by love, which showcase the transformative power of literature.